A warm good afternoon to all the participants today. My name is Priya Nair. I lead the talent acquisition for Foundit. And I'm quite excited to host this session today, as it is the topic as such is very close to my heart. So we'll just start. I think by now, most of you know that Monster APAC and ME is now founded. We are trusted by more than 50,000 recruiters for their hiring needs. We are here for yet another session of webinars where we talk about some great insights on the recruitment industry per se. The idea is to bring in leaders who can add value to the recruitment community. And this is going to be a very insightful session for most of the recruiters if they have joined the session. Going to be the 24th session, guys. So welcome once again to the RecRoute sessions for 24, where we are going to talk about navigating tech talent strategies for successful hiring. We are joined here, and I'm very delighted to share that we are joined here by Ramit Tyagi. He is the Director Talent Acquisition of Ultimate Kronos Group, the UKG group. A brief intro before Ramit takes on and we start our session as such. Ramit is the Director Talent Acquisition for UKG Group. He leads the technology hiring for the region and looking for the best hands-on tech-savvy talent on the latest digital skills. He has more than 20 years of experience in talent acquisition. He has proven track record of building and managing high-performing hiring teams, delivering quality hires and strategic initiatives across various domains and geographies. Ramit comes with a rich experience in technology hiring. Prior to UKG, Ramit was the global tech and data hiring leader with Genpact Digital, where he led the global hiring for technology talent for the future in the areas of digital engineering, AI, cloud, big data, machine learning, and whatnot. Prior to Genpact, he was the global HR and hiring functions for ThreadSoul Incorporation, which was a tech product startup. So that was acquired by Coach Digital UK. So he's a passionate, I must say, talent acquisition expert who's creating a challenging, fast-paced and growth-oriented career for the tech talent, enabling them to make an impact in the world of technology and innovation. So thanks, Ramit. Thank you so much for taking out time today. We know how busy you are this month, and this really means a lot to us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Priya, and a very warm good afternoon to all of you. And thank you for such a rich, introduction, Priya. But I'm a recruiter by passion and profession. I still love to recruit with my own hands. I've been hiring for the last 20 years and happy to be a part of this particular session where I'm going to connect with people from the same community. Always good to share our knowledge and experiences from our own experiences. So very happy to be a part of this session. And thank you so much, Priya. And thank you, Foundit.
Thank you so much, Ramit. So I think in the interest of time and to, actually leverage the time that we have for this session, let's straight away get into the questions. 1 second, I'll just. So we were discussing prior to this also, Ramit, that the entire dynamics and the tech, hiring landscape has changed over the years. So what do you think are the key trends, shaping the industry as a whole?
So, see, the last 3 years have been very, very different for all of us and the industry as well. I think what has particularly changed, the last 2 years were all about surviving the pandemic, surviving the way market was moving. And when the pandemic hit all of us, the first thing that struck to all of us was how to be safe with our families and friends and our loved ones. And I think the next thing that struck all of us was, how do you still do business? If we remember, we never had thought we could actually interview online, we could onboard online, we could hire online, and we could even work online. Nobody had thought of that idea. So that whole experience of surviving in the pandemic made us all more resilient, and made us all tough, robust, in the way we operate, plan, and do our things. Also, it made us realize the value of our own loved ones, our own family members, and still contribute to our professional lives, wherever we could be.
Right.
Now, after the pandemic was over, and when we all learned that you don't need to be working in the same office, on the same desk, or in the same cabin, we realized that still there's a value in coming together, and I work for a product company. So we know that you got to while you could work from anywhere, you could actually be productive working from anywhere. There is still a value that comes out when people sit together, put their heads together, they innovate together, they ideate together. So with that thought in mind, a lot of people have started working in a hybrid remote work. So first thing that changed in last 3 years was the working style for all of us, the way business dynamics changed for all of us. And I think while the last 2 years are all about surviving the pandemic, still able to do our business, run our business. And that's the reason if you see last 2 years, every company was focusing on their top line revenues. It was all about saving our business, saving our, people, and just be there, and survive. Now in this year, when the pandemic is over, the focus is back to growth, which means while you actually are able to show a good revenue on your books, show a good top line on the books, if you don't make enough profits, the business may not be sustainable, obviously, and growth is not going to come. So after changing the work style, the focus is back on the growth and profitability. What it changes for us as a TA person or from the recruitment fraternity was, how do you still hire the best talent? Because people have got used to those online interviews, working online. They may or may not be open to come to office. Even the hiring styles change. So what changed was the business model, the workspace, the employer's focus, the employee's priorities. And for us as a recruiter, what changed was the candidate's perspective and expectations and the way we hire. So a lot of changes. And I think it's all about adopting to these changes and still moving on and growing together.
Absolutely, I agree. And I mean, since we are from the same talent acquisition space, I mean, this is something that we face day in, day out, getting the candidate even to come for the interview, to office sometimes is a challenge. And sometimes, candidates sitting far off who's willing to come to our location and getting his interviews done in a day with the panelists has become very easy, which was very difficult, earlier when we had to, get them to come for a face-to-face discussion and all that. Absolutely. So we've come, long way, from the time pandemic hit us, and hiring landscape has also changed, as we discussed, when it comes to technology hiring. So do you think there are challenges, for a recruiter? They are more now post the pandemic, or, prior, before the pandemic, there were more challenges. How do you see the scene before and after pandemic?
So in the pandemic, the challenge was, and being a recruiter is a challenging profile. I think what makes it more interesting is the challenges around us, and how do you plan to win over those challenges is what actually makes me still being a recruiter and still continue with my profile of being a recruiter, still love to hire. And I think that goes for all of us. So recruitment itself is a very challenging career. And the fun part is, how do you keep winning over those challenges, and before pandemic, the challenges were very common. How do you hire with a lesser offer dropouts? How do you hire quickly? How do you get the right talent with your band? In the pandemic, the talent shortage was so much, and the demand and supply gap was so much. Everybody would get multiple offers. So the challenge in the pandemic was, how do you get somebody on board when everybody's throwing money, everybody's offering better packages, and people were getting salary that we had never heard about. Before pandemic, we used to see candidates who would have one offer, two offer, three offer. I've myself seen in the pandemic, people will carry 12 offers, a dozen offers. We've never seen those kind of scenarios for all of us. So what changed was, now when we are back to reality, and when everybody is actually focusing on their profits and their growth. So what is happening is, now the focus is back on, how do you still identify the right talent, because they could be sitting anywhere. They would have gone back to their hometowns or somewhere else. So how do you still attract the right talent with the right experience, and how do you still onboard them, and how do you connect and communicate with them, first of all? Because the expectations have changed now. Last year, everybody was focusing on money. This year, people are again talking about profile, stability, and growth. I remember in the 2 years of pandemic, people were not even asking, what am I going to do if I'm hired by your company? They were only concerned about, how much can you pay to me? While now, after seeing all those so many layoffs happening around us, what is happening is, people are again back to talking about growth, learning, stability. So a couple of things that have changed, I'm sure, and all of us realize and feel them every single day.
Every single day, absolutely. And as employers, as talent acquisition, experts, as, candidates. So, at every level, there has been a change in the way the, style of, overall the dynamics in the process is, changed. So I absolutely agree with you on that. So when these changes are happening, I'm sure that we want ourselves and our teams also to adapt to the rapid changes that are taking place around them. There are a lot of discussions, and we were discussing this earlier also, like ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, machine learning, whatnot. I mean, so much of technological advancement coming in. So how should talent acquisition, people, they should how can they keep up with these changes? What is it that you would recommend to your team? How do you discuss with them? What do you tell them? What do you tell to the larger participants here who are from the same space? So how do you want to them to make these it easier for themselves to adapt to these changes actually?
See, yeah. So first of all, the technology is ever evolving, and I don't know how many of you would have read the report, I'll say from LinkedIn. So whatever you're hiring on right now, whatever we are all hiring on right now, will not be required after 18 more months, which means there's going to be a new skill, so maybe AngularJS was hot 1.5 years back. Today we are hiring on something else, we could be hiring on React.js, Node.js, Ruby on Rails was a hot skill once upon a time. We could be hiring on something else now, So what that also means is we will have to keep on putting on our thinking caps forever.
Absolutely.
Just like a technical person, they need to keep on adopting to the new skills and new techs, A recruiter again has to keep on thinking, what else can I do in my profile? How much beyond can I go in the sourcing channels, How can I create a new kind of talent pipeline, I think that's what actually makes it, and these are the people who are going to survive and grow in the future. Because if you don't change with the times, if you don't adopt the technology to your own benefit, you would be left behind in the whole race, And for an example, that ChatGPT has come, OpenAI is here, So which means they will do a lot of stuff that we have been doing on a regular basis, which is more of transactional and repetitive. What they still cannot do is create a personal connect, create a personal experience. Now that is where we got to be. We are all humans, right? We don't need to compete with the machine or with the tool on the mechanics, on the science. They will beat us. But we definitely are far ahead when it comes to a personal experience, a careful experience, or humanity, obviously, right? So machines will never be able to beat humans on humanity, right? I mean, that's what we got to be all aware of. And keep on using these tools are on advantage. How can they speed us up? I think that's the way to use these tools, for all of us.
Yeah, I think, and just to add to that, Ramit, I also feel that it is important for us as recruiters to understand that, our status quo needs to change, as you rightly said, like how technology skills are upgrading and the, software engineers are upgrading and learning new technologies. We will also have to adapt to,
Yes.
and not just in terms of our sourcing channels and everything, but how each skill is important in the dynamics of the work that our tech team, product team is doing. So if we have that understanding, we will have that edge as a talent acquisition professional to be able to guide them also on the right fit, and the overall action and everything is faster. So I absolutely agree with you there. So in terms of, with these technological changes, can you throw some light on how the recruiters are making use? So any examples in your team, how are they using the AI tool, especially ChatGPT being the buzzword here? So how are they using it?
I'll tell you how my team is using these tools. So I think the best, first, very easy and simple way to use ChatGPT to your advantage is how to create better messaging, how to create better dialogues, and it actually guides you, enhances your overall narrative, If you need to write an email and you don't know how to make it better, you could just put it on ChatGPT and write, I want to make it a more positive, more warm message, it will do it for you within a fraction of a second, Secondly, you can always use it for, I'll give you an example. I was hiring on SRE. Okay. I've never hired much on SRE as a tool. And I was confused how different this is from DevOps, or what are those Kubernetes and all those skills that we keep on hearing about. It even guides you to give you that whole, knowledge to what are the screening questions I should ask an SRE developer or a lead to ensure that they've actually worked upon it and not just put it on the resume.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of very simple, basic example I'm giving you. Another example is I was hiring a senior person in product management, and had a very senior leadership profile. It even guided me on what kind of questions should I ask to a product manager or a product director? It actually makes your life easy. And even you can use it for, skill mapping. You can use it for writing the right JDs, first of all, to begin recruitment, and that is how you also create a better value with your hiring manager and business team, because they may be not so good at writing a JD for a new skill being hired upon. Me being a recruiter, I could use ChatGPT and go back to them and tell them this is how the JD should be. What do you think about it? So I think again, all these with all these tools available to us, we could be a better advisor to our business. We could take a better care of our candidates as well as do a better screening. I think what everybody looks up to a recruiter is, how do I save time? Nobody wants to interview 10, 20 people to get a one selection.
Right.
If we do a right screening by using these tools, or let's say ChatGPT, I will ensure that I'll not actually need to put more than 3 interviews to get one selection.
Yeah.
That's what I tell my own team, because then I save my own time. I move faster with the profiles. I save the time of my technical panel, who could do something better than taking interviews forever on a particular role. I think these are the very basic, simple steps too. And then you can actually align these ChatGPT and these AI tools to your application tracking system. They could do the shortlisting for you. They could even write back a response, just like we get those responses and chatbots on those bank sites and insurance sites who talk to us, right, for our basic queries. So a lot of stuff we can do. And I think there is no end to how much you can use these to our advantage and make our own life comfortable, while we can also help our business much better.
Absolutely. And I, just to add to that again, that, in terms of how we can fine tune basically, because we know what the process is, we know everything. Then there is a certain way we've been doing that. So I feel, because I've also, used and I'm using ChatGPT as a tool. So it helps you fine tune it, helps you improve your language. It helps you give better perspective on the JD, the changes that are, that can be done. That those kind of tools are very, helpful there. And just to add to the examples you gave, we also tried ChatGPT for, sometimes you're not very clear whether this resume is 100% fitment for that JD. So it, when we added that JD and the resume of the candidate, we were sending, it gave us that, it is this much percentage, relevant to the job description. So it was that close. So while, as you're rightly saying, it cannot take the place of a recruiter and the gut feel and talking and all those things, but these kind of things make our life easy. Within like 10 minutes, I can get a JD done, move it to the stakeholders. So all that becomes very easy. So on that note, Ramit, I would just want, a quick minute for all of our participants and yours, because foundit is actually coming up with new features. I mean, in fact, multiple features which are going to make the life of our recruiters very easy. Just give me a quick second to, share my screen.
Please.
So this is for the interest of the larger audience here. And since me and Ramit, we were discussing about how AI tools are, helping the recruiters and making their life easy. So foundit is all charged up to, wow you all with some cutting edge features that are going to leverage your AI, artificial intelligence, generative AI, and data science to make the recruitment much easier and faster. Time is money these days, as they say. So there are some excellent features that are, added in our product. So unmatched candidate, insights, where in order to reach out to candidates, sometimes we work on very, senior positions. When we are looking at passive candidates, we need some information where we are not directly talking to them, but we need some insight. So smart insights as a feature helps you add a lot of, information which is there and helps the recruiter to take an informed decision. Similarly, when we are working on bulk positions, we are hiring, hundreds of software engineers in one go. We need to run a campaign, and so we have a automated outreach collaboration which is going to help the recruiters to run the campaign easily, seamlessly without any challenge, and reach out to so many recruiters. So for all the talent acquisition professionals who have joined, I would want that they do not miss out to this opportunity to take a sneak peek of what is in store for them. I have a poll that is there, basis this, where they can participate and we can give further information to those who are interested. So I'm just raising that poll for the interest of everyone. So I think the participants will benefit from our discussion as well as what we were, discussing, Ramit. So getting back to what we were talking, and so there are a lot of, as we are saying, recruiters also learn a lot from their experience, right? So basis the experience I've had with some previous, whether clients or companies, or the kind of hiring I do, be it bulk hiring, be it niche hiring, be it tech hiring. So there are different, strategies, and every recruiter is different. I've also seen that in my team, if I have 10 people, they're all adopt different style of reaching out to the candidate. But yes, certain basics that are there in place. So what do you think are the critical skills and, qualities that a recruiter, should have for, to look for a candidate and, ensure that there is a successful hire?
So, Priya, I think for a recruiter, and to be a good recruiter, the first thing you need to be is a curiosity. You have to be curious enough to understand, not just by the JD what's given to you, or by just a skill set that all of us can put somewhere and get a response back from any of the portals. You should be curious enough to ask the right questions. And the very first success or failure of a hiring depends on the very first call you do with your business to exactly understand the profile, the JD, the candidate. So many things are written in a given JD, but if you don't understand the actual essence of what exactly would click to get selected, with a hiring manager, that's the first step to a successful hiring. Secondly, we are just not a recruiter or just a profile that the way people were like, our job is not just to send a profile. Our job is to actually add the right talent to the growth, for the growth of the company. For any company in the software or IT, the real asset of that company is their people. If you cannot really identify the right talent, which has to be the right fit for your company, and there's no right or wrong or bad or good profile in the market. What is good for me and my company is good for me, right? It may be the best talent for me, while it could not be for any other company, depending on my culture, my experience, my products or services background, or kind of work that I'm doing as a company, as an organization. So be curious, do a very, very strong understanding call. We call it as, a hiring call or RSM call, recruitment. And that's where the very firstly you connect with the business. Thirdly, become a talent advisor to your business. Yeah. If you know there's a profile which may not get all the 100% asked skills, tell them this is not doable at the given cost or salary. But what I can do this for you, which could be a 70% fit, So why don't we try? Instead of waiting for a profile, many of the stories go wrong and negative because we were waiting for that godly 100% fitting candidate, which could not be possible because there is nobody who's creating that exact match or profile for my requirement for a particular company and for a particular salary bracket, So agree with your hiring manager, with your business team. This is what you want, minimum. This is what I can get for you. And if not this is the best thing I can do as a plan B, So you become a talent advisor for your business. You actually help them take right decisions, and for your candidate to become a career advisor. If you know there's somebody who may not fit well into your culture, who may struggle with your environment, who may not carry the right attitude and acumen for your business environment, there's no point in getting that person even into the interview process.
Exactly.
I cannot hire somebody who's made for a product company into a services background and vice versa, right? So that wisdom has to be always there. And I think it's a smart job. Recruiter, being a recruiter is a very, very smart job. But to be smart, keep on adding more energy and, common sense and wisdom to your own, the way you plan, operate, and execute things, So curiosity, being a good advisor, being a good partner, and those candidates also depend on me because I'm helping them decide better for their own career growth. If I don't become a good friend, they will not actually have that rapport with me. And these are the people who back out because they have no emotional connect with me or a rapport with me as a recruiter. They actually have to trust upon me. And then that's how you get to a successful closure finally.
Absolutely.
And then keep adding those texts, keep on studying technology. And I think in the current scenario, Wikipedia is there, ChatGPT is there, Google got everything, And even YouTube and Insta have a lot of content for all of us. Idea is to hunt the right content and actually implement that in our day-to-day hiring process.
Absolutely. It's very important that you are actually digging deep in terms of understanding what exactly my hiring manager wants. And just to add to that, obviously the technical aspects are there, the skills. It is very important to look for a candidate who's also a right fit for that manager, for that team, and for the company as a whole. It's very important because I've seen some very smart resources not able to adapt to the kind of culture that particular manager has or the style of working he has. So it's very important that how closely we work with our stakeholders to be able to actually close on a position. Very, very critical. So it's very important. So 1 or 2 hires with that stakeholder, then I think you get a hang of the kind of person who will fit well. Very, very, very correctly put. That's how most of the smart recruiters make that difference, because there are a lot of stakeholders I see who immediately profile comes from one recruiter. They would not even want to do a second check. They would straight away go ahead, interview, and would depend on the recruiter's opinion for that particular position and everything. Very true.
And that is the credibility you built, because I'll tell you the day, and that's what I keep on telling my team, the day the business comes and asks for you, give my requirement to this particular recruiter, you have achieved success and nirvana as a recruiter, because that's the time you have actually built up that credibility to your own people. They know that if I hire through this recruiter, I'll not have to do more than maybe 2-3 interviews to get my selection. And they're going to do such a great job that they will actually get that person onboarded, And the other role that I think forgot to add in my, skills for a recruiter is you are the talent brand, for the company. You are the brand ambassador for the company. If I don't create the right vibes, I don't create the right, essence or experience for my candidates, whether they are selected or rejected, I don't add on to the brand value of my own company. And that is an important part that a lot of people miss out, because recruiters are more keen to be nice to people who get selected. They don't leave any experience or any good feel for the people who got rejected. They don't even care to respond back to them. I think idea is to be nice to people. You may never know when you may need them back again.
Right. I absolutely agree. And I think you've touched a very important thing, that communication at the beginning, because you are representing your organization. So the kind of communication, and just another feature which is going to come up with a new, product enhancement is that, personalization. So when if I am talking to 10, even if I'm talking to 10 leaders for a particular position, if I'm not personalizing my communication with that particular leader, understanding what kind of role he's been doing and what is it that we have to offer, he may not have that kind of interest to, come back to me. So if I'm able to have a personalized communication channel, maybe the way I speak to him or the kind of details I share with that person. So, I mean, that actually differentiates a smart recruiter from the one who's doing a, routine job. So definitely communication angle is very, very critical. I absolutely agree. So as we were in the beginning discussing, so there is a lot of, with the pandemic, remote work has become very critical. So a lot of, work that is being done from home. So and a lot of different geographies within India, outside, and things like that. So what strategies can employers can be use to recruit and onboard tech talent specifically from anywhere in the world? So I'm sure you're managing different geographies. So what is it that you exactly do to be able to leverage that?
See, people look firstly on your LinkedIn profile when you start hiring for any role, and ideally your profile has to be catchy enough, positive enough, and that should really start sharing those vibes first of all. And do have a look at your own company's page, on LinkedIn as well as your own portal. I mean, you really, while the candidate would always want to talk about money, you need to talk to them about bigger or more important things which are intangible. And that's how you really create that vibe and attraction for the people. And in the days of remote working, firstly, do you really have a business or a role that could be serviced from anywhere? If you think yes, then you really need to tap talent from all across, right? And in the way to tap that talent, you need to create and use the right tools for mapping the profile, assessment, evaluation, and ensure that there's the same person who's giving interviews actually going to come onboarded to us. So that has actually become very sensitive if you ask me. I mean, we have seen cases where somebody else gave interview, somebody else took the offer, and somebody else joined, right? I knew a case where somebody was working at 2 different companies, and we have seen cases like somebody working for 7 different companies, and the way they were caught was through a PF portal. So assessment can be done online. You can still connect with your distant tech talent or, talent pipeline, which could be sitting anywhere. And communication, as you said, is the key to it. Get into a personal communication mode, ensure that you respond back to them as soon as possible when they reach you. And even if you're hiring in bulk, I always suggest that go and do a weekday weekend drive at the location that you're hiring upon and hiring from. Take along your business. Hiring is just not a TA team's responsibility. Your leadership, your business has to be an equal partner because it's the success of the entire company. Take your HR along to create that vibe for your culture. And we do that all the times in UKG. So we call it as one HR, which means all of us are together in this for the growth of my organization, whether it's HR or TA or my candidate care team or my TA operations team. And we have actually created SME and specialized teams for hiring, for HR, for cultural alignment, and even for TA onboarding. So which means whenever my team is done with the offer, there's a team that takes over a candidate. After that, we create a red carpet experience for each of them.
That is very critical. I mean, even after that offer and everything, if the onboarding experience doesn't fall in place, then also, the entire candidate experience, it just goes for a toss. So it's very important that the onboarding experience has to be as good as the, interviewing experience and the entire process that we've had. So any best practices that you've identified, Ramit, in attracting tech talent here, and what are the key insights that kind of, help recruiters in identifying the prospects? Because when we are building pipeline, we're working on senior positions. So prospects, it's always important, as we discussed, that we need to keep creating pipeline. So what are the best practices that have helped you in your career here or previously?
I'd say go to the non-traditional ways of creating the talent pipeline. While you could get anything from a portal, but use those portals and those social media channels like LinkedIn to your advantage. Keep on creating the right communities and network with the skills that you'll keep on hiring, and look for people's core engineering skills. Talk to them, not just about a tech stack that is relevant today. Ask them, how open and agile are you to adopt a new technology? Because every company and their tech stack is going to evolve after 18 months, 24 months. And talk about things which are beyond, are you looking for a change? What is your current salary, expected salary, and joining time? I know these are 4 questions of very favorite of every recruiter. But the best recruiters that I've seen, they go beyond this, They talk of more higher things and values. They talk about, how did you get into this college? Which were the other colleges you were interested for, They go to even a level of, are you a self-made person or not? How much role has your parents played in your current value and profile and positioning, So talk about the entire career. Talk about values, talk about an attitude which is good for your environment instead of just a tech stack, And then you look for hire for profile which actually going to come, stick around, and grow and sustain with you.
That so is what a very valid point.
Yeah, and I'll always start with the schooling when I talk to a candidate and start screening their profile. I'll check their trigger points for growth. I'll check their family background. I'll check for what excites them, to remain motivated to perform better every single day, because things get monotonous at most of the times, Absolutely. How can we all put that word called self-motivated in our profile very proudly, right? But how many of us actually exercise that, Sure. And if you ask me, a recruiter's job is self-motivation, because I've been hiring on Java for 25 years, and I'll be maybe hiring on Java forever, right? The version is going to change, or it's going to become a React.js or AngularJS or Node.js whatsoever. But the Java thing is constant, and hiring is constant. But I think every candidate is a new story. Every human just like is unique. Every candidate could be on the same skill, but is a different story. Look at that story and be a good storyteller. Absolutely. When you pitch them a role, talk about growth, talk about career, talk about learnings, talk about the legacy and the future of your company and organization. That's how they fit well into that. And if they fit well into that whole journey, only then you proceed with that. Else you're just filling a slot, You're not adding the right talent or the right value for the growth of your company. Absolutely. And the work of TA team is so important. So it just can't be, just filling that slot, as you rightly put, it can't be. So as I was saying that it's, when you dig deep on the understanding the job description and the kind of profile required, it's also important that you're digging deep when it comes to the candidate side of the story. And I just personally also I try to put myself in the shoes of that candidate and see if he is answering me like this. Would I do that? Is there something, not correct, not reasonable in his, answers? So I try to do that. And actually the calls are more, more of listening calls than talking. So it's important that we listen
that we listen a lot more. You just have to let the candidates speak. And from there, you, as an experienced recruiter, you can catch hold of a lot of things that help you understand whether the candidate is a good fit for the role and for the company. So I always, I mean, personally, I adopt that. I prefer talking to my candidates for long to get into, because it starts from the work to the personal life to the aspirations and to family and everything. So that gives me an overall picture whether he's going to fit and whether if he's saying yes to my role now, is he going to come and join us or not? It's very, I mean, that gut feel, of a candidate, for a recruiter, as we say, it plays a very important role. And that happens when you have a detailed discussion.
And I call it as recruiter's hunch, there's a sixth sense in all of us, and unless I get that, and first, as you correctly said, Priya, you have to be a very, very good listener. If you're not a good listener, how do you understand their comm skills? If I ask, any recruiter that, how are you going to check somebody's comm skill? They will say, I'll ask him this and that. What they forget to tell me, I'll listen. I'll listen to their thought process. I'll try to gauge into their mindset, Instead of asking how many years of experience you have in Java, I'll ask him what was the current project all about, which all technology, front end, back end, middleware were you using in the current project. And in the current project, what was your main contribution, Were you a part of the design practices? Were you contributing into the support or maintenance part of the project, When you talk on these lines, firstly, you build up a value for your own self to that candidate. They look at you differently because nobody would have asked them these questions, right? Secondly, that's how you understand their real capability and fitment into your requirement, And unless, that's what I tell my own team, unless you get that hunch and that vibe after speaking to a candidate, please do not proceed with him or her, because else it's just a repetitive work. It's just an average work as a recruiter.
It's an average work. And one more thing that I generally say is there are no assumptions. In this, it's very important. When in doubt, please ask explicitly what is it that the candidate is trying to convey. Very, very important. Otherwise, it does not make sense, because sometimes what happens is, he must be doing this, he must have done this because he's been into this for a long time. So it does not, hold value. You have to make sure that you are, ticking all the boxes and checking, and without any assumption. That is very important. So communication angle as such, overall during the entire process, to be very clear, transparent on what we have to offer and what the candidate is expecting and trying to understand if there is a good match. It is very important. I absolutely agree with you there. So outreach, as we are talking about, so when we are reaching out to candidates, sometimes bulk, sometimes passive candidates. So that's actually a challenge, because when we are hitting the same position, for example, as you're saying, Java, if we are hiring for Java only for a long time for a particular location within the same experience range and everything, so it becomes difficult. After a point, you kind of exhaust the pool. That becomes a challenge. And for senior positions also, there are some passive candidates. You want to generate their interest, so to reach out to them, actually, it's a challenge for any recruiter. So are there any best practices around that also, which your team has successfully been able to utilize and to the best advantage of being able to close both bulk or niche positions?
So Priya, I'll tell you, always look beyond what's already done or visible to us, So I know that everybody's going to hit a particular portal for hiring Java. Everybody's going to do their referral, employee referrals, which is anyway known to all of us, But have you really tapped into a talent which is not already looking out, which is known as passive tech talent, right? Similarly, for me, whenever I speak to a candidate, they will have such a vast alumni network, They'll always have our college groups, school groups on our WhatsApp, right? Why can't I convince a candidate to put my requirement on their WhatsApp after building a great rapport with them, Why can't I go to a woman in India who had to let go of her career because she wanted to be a mother, she had to be a wife, or she had to be a daughter-in-law somewhere, right? She had to go her job 2 years back, 3 years back for some reason. Now she would still carry the basics, right? She'll carry the basic engineering acumen that she was working so well, She came from a good college. She did all things that were required to be a good engineer. She just stopped her journey at a stop, right? She's still good up to that level, right? Why can't she fill a role which just wanted 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever years of experience up to that level when she stopped working? Maybe instead of waiting 3 months or 6 months for a perfect fitting candidate, why can't I get her in and give her 2 months of very rigorous training? She'll be so happy, proud, committed, and she may actually not leave me forever because I created a different journey for her. I gave her a life that she never thought she could again get back into,
Yeah.
And you go through our page on UKG, you will see so many such stories. My team has actually got so many of such people back into their career. They put those gratitude notes on our website, and they are so thankful that UKG did for them something they never thought was possible all over again. Their family is more proud of them, their children are more proud of them. I mean, I think that's what is an untapped, pool that we could talk about. Secondly, there are various different schools that have come up in the last pandemic, generation.org and a lot of other who are trying to create techies out of non-tech background. These people have that fire in their belly and they are more eager to perform and prove themselves. They actually may come and join for sure. They will put their heart, blood and soul to succeed for you. They will do what a normal candidate may still say or just try or may not try, So think and look beyond these normal ways of, normal tech pool, and you're actually going to create and do a bigger favor and karma to this talent pool as well. That's what I think.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, I agree. And, it's again, as we were saying, so it's a joint effort. It's not just the TA team that alone can do this particular aspect. So the hiring manager, hiring team overall has to also be open and, make an environment where somebody who comes in with maybe a little less, experience or skill for that matter is ready to mentor them and take it to the next level. As you rightly said, these people would not leave because they just value the kind of learning and the time at which you have actually hired them, because that is valued a lot more.
And that is where this talent advisory role comes into the picture. My business will depend on me for these ideas, these innovative ways to source, and they will not even think about this unless I make them think. And a business will not listen to a recruiter unless you solve through your solution their problem. When you go to them, oh, this is what also I can do. This will get you a more committed employee, a committed team member with a bigger zeal to perform, and you will have a better life by getting this talent, and I'll have a 100% joining ratio. They will definitely put their skill into the game for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agree with you. So there are a lot of challenges, we understand, and this is one of them. So talent shortage is there for some positions. There are not enough skills, available. And, candidates are not joining at the last minute. We have rolled out the offer. Tomorrow he's supposed to join. Today the candidate has said, no, I'm not joining. No, they stop picking up the call. So this is something all the recruiters have faced, have agreed. So are there any viable strategies, to these kind of challenges, candidates not joining, whether it's a cost issue or, not being able to consistently create a pipeline for roles which are very, niche for that matter? So are there any strategies that have helped you?
I'll tell you, candidate will always look for a better offer, right? I mean, and they will always maybe look for money, which could be the main motivator, and I do believe when you cannot buy them with money, buy them with your love, care, and concern, that's something that nobody else can recreate and duplicate, right? Somebody can pay them X plus 10, 20%. But if you create that whole vibe and that connect and that relationship with them from the day you firstly spoke to them and till the day they come on boarded, and even after that to some extent, that's how you win this game, because everybody is working very mechanically. People believe in just filling up a slot or just moving very fast without giving that due personal time and rapport and relationship. And I'll tell you, it's never going to happen that 100% of them will join, First idea is to reduce that to the bare minimums, So, and I'll give an example. I used to work for a services company before joining in this company. And like any services company, there was a huge offer dropout, We created that personalized, welcoming and very warm experience. And when the market was struggling with 50-55% of joining ratio in the pandemic, my joining ratio used to be 84% for my team. 84%, Even in the current company, we are operating at about, I think, 86-87% right now. I mean, only through a very personalized, welcoming and warm experience. And we believe in creating that for even the candidate who may not get selected by us. That is how you create that vibe and leave that vibe with them. Secondly, if you've been able to create a good rapport with the candidate and they still go for a better paying job elsewhere, and if they don't like that job, you should be the first person they come back to.
Yeah.
And it happens, I'm telling you. People take wrong decisions many a time because the money was the driving factor. Then they realize while the money was better than the previous opportunity, the work culture is bad, the learning is bad, the team politics is bad, or maybe it's not manageable at all, and then they think of which was the best thing that I could have gone for, and they'll come back to you. But only if you have left a very good taste, you have not burned the bridge with them, And I think other thing that really should work in our favor is, while I feel bad as a recruiter if someone doesn't join or tells me on a Friday or doesn't pick up my call, they should equally feel bad because you have created such a good experience for them. And even after that, they do not join, let them also feel that despair, let them also feel equally at loss. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, they should also feel disappointed at having, missed out on this opportunity. I absolutely agree with you on that, because a lot of candidates, and I was also, thinking about this point only, that you should not get the bridges, burned, because even if the person does not join, it's all right. But as you rightly said, he should pick up the phone the moment he feels there is a need for another job. These people, they save your numbers, they are in touch with you, and, whether they spend, leave that company immediately or after a year, you should be the first person they call out. And they are also very good, a source for us to get reference, generate so many references from our good candidates.
Yeah.
You have, due to whatever reason, they have not joined us, but then they give so many references, and you create a kind of a, relationship for life with those candidates. So they're always,
and I think, and that's only going to happen when you really create that rapport with them. I'll tell you, in my 21 years of recruitment experience, I've hired some people 3 times, 4 times in my career. Now, that is irrelevant of whichever company I was working for. For them, it is me who's advising them to take the right decision, And if they stay in touch with you, and they will even call me and tell me, Ramit, I'm looking for a job, do you have something for me? Or Ramit, I've got another offer. What do you suggest for this? I mean, that kind of bond is what you create if you really want to succeed and sustain in this industry. Secondly, we have seen so many cases where, people would themselves, if they're not joining you, they will not wait till the last moment to break that news to you, because you create such a good bond with them. They would actually tell you much in advance if they get something else, or actually are still interviewing after taking your offer letter.
Yeah, absolutely. Our relationship becomes so strong that you are there for each stage. So I think our discussion is going very well. In fact, there are so many questions coming to my mind, but in the interest of time, we'll quickly move into Q&A, and I see a lot of questions there. So I'm opening the forum for questions, Ramit, just a second. So I'll just check a few questions that I saw. First thing that I saw was, that we have a question on how to manage the cost angle of it. I mean, that we were discussing initially also, that again, there are, candidates who have multiple offers with them, and, so in terms of CTC, how is, companies we are trying that, in terms of CTC, if we are not able to match, we give them other things, but then there are a lot of negotiations that happen during the process. So what do you think can be the tactic from a TA perspective in terms of negotiating with them?
Yeah, so Priya, that's a challenge faced by all of us. And I'll tell you, people who actually stick around and are stable are the ones who have the depth of knowledge and depth of skill that we are hiring upon, right? I mean, imagine somebody making a change every year. First 6 months go into settling down in the new place. Next 6 months go into looking for a new opportunity. And by the time they would have actually built up any depth on their talent, they would have moved on. So what finally happens is their learning would have stopped long time back, while their salary would have gone high up, much, much higher than you could afford, I'll say you don't need to talk to the same people, You still have people who have stuck around, who have stayed with the same company, and they are the people who should be given the right value. And they're actually the people who are going to give you the right ROI for your investment, because people who stick around would be a bit lesser on the package, obviously for known reasons. They're not taking a 40% hike every year. And they are the people who actually will have a better selection ratio. They will have a better probability to clear interviews. They will bring in better concepts, and they would have actually learned the craft, because they stuck to the same place and kept on learning, So that pool actually is the one that should be processed, and you should always go for those alumni place in networks. And if you have liked somebody who was really good and actually joined you, they will always have similar set of people in their network, or maybe in their alumni network, or maybe on their WhatsApp group, or maybe in their siblings, or in their friend circle. Tap into that, There is no point in offering somebody who we already know is going to make a change every year or every 6 months, which happened in pandemic with so many of their candidates. And if you see, these are the ones who are being laid off right now.
Yeah. So there is a anonymous attendee here checking us that is AI and ChatGPT going to impact the recruiters' jobs in future. So I think we already discussed that somewhere, that if you are updating yourself, your knowledge, and using it to your advantage, I don't think there's a threat. Your views, Ramit.
So they will only replace the tasks which are not human, which do not require any IQ from a customized or personalized basis. They will only take care of replacing the repetitive tasks. They can map a profile for us. They can shortlist a profile for us. They can even schedule a profile for us, right? They cannot create that rapport with the candidate. And you can use that tool to create that rapport with the candidates, right? So WhatsApp is a good technology for me to create. And as soon as I like a candidate, when I'm screening them on the very first call, I'll add them on my LinkedIn as well as on my WhatsApp on the same call, so that I've already started building up that personal bond with them, which ChatGPT cannot do for me, right? So ChatGPT can only, and I think the future is only going to belong to, I was reading a newspaper, I think today in Times of India, future is going to belong to only two kind of people. One, who use AI, the second, who create AI, So you cannot stay untouched by AI for sure. There is no doubt about that.
Yeah, that's the future. So how do you experience? So we experience candidate non-response is what the question is at different stages of the selection process. So how do you deal with it is the question. Candidate non-response.
You have to track it very personally. Firstly, I have actually done very heart-to-heart discussions with my candidate. I'll ask them, have you given all the interviews you wanted to give? Why are you coming to my company? If it's only money that is driving you, then please go out and explore all other options and then come to me if at all you still want to come and talk to us, So build up the value beyond money. Talk about career, talk about stability. If they've not already proven that in their profile, there is no point in processing them, Many a time we come under pressure from business and tell them, okay, we got to fill up this role. And we all have seen those services and body shopping environments where a role has to be filled to, retain a client or retain business or retain revenue. You either start building up talent, which is more economical to you, which is inbuilt and customized, which means campus or these schools which are training these tech talent for us, or you start tapping into the right talent, which is economical, not changing a job every year. And you do take two kind of profile on any portal. People who have made a change every 6 months, 1 year, and people who have made a change, let's say after 2, 3, or 4 years, you'll always find the other side more economical. Better to give them a better hike instead of hiring somebody who makes a change every day. They'll join you for money, they'll leave you for money for sure.
Absolutely. There's a question on stakeholder management, Ramit, where they're saying that, the stakeholder or the hiring manager is not, convinced on candidates who are 70-80% fit. They want just the exact, and this happens with us. I'm sure you would have experienced that. I want a person in this bracket and this kind of work, there are 10,000 ticks, which, so eventually you have a lot of rejects in the process and it's a very demotivating thing for the recruiters. So how do you deal with that is what the question is about.
Instead of wanting everything in the same person, move to the next level of discussion, which means, what do you want this guy to do for us? What all kind of work will they be doing? What kind of environments would they be doing? What role would they be playing? Instead of just going by skill sets and tech stacks, go to a bigger level, When you talk to a candidate, do bring up the same questions in your candidates, discussion with the candidate. Firstly, you create a value for your opportunity by discussing these things with the candidate, Secondly, you create a value and brand for your own employer because they understand if a recruiter is talking so much of technology, it should be an exciting role, if at all they fit into the role particularly, If you know the market, if they can't get everything in the same person, go to them with a plan B. Okay, this is what is not possible. This is the data, and use data to prove your point all the times, I mean, while the hiring manager is not going to go to a job portal with me, or I don't expect him to do a sourcing and search for me, nothing stops me to collect that data, put that in the right format, create a good story out of it, and share that back to them by not saying this is not possible. Tell them this is the way it looks like and may not fit into our budget. What about the next option that I can create for you?
Because recruiters do face this. They are not able to handle the, hiring managers, rejecting every profile and, to be able to go by. I think with experience that comes that you're
and also I'll tell you, at least in India, I can talk about candidate send the same profile for 50 different roles and positions, right? What they don't know or don't put that effort for is every role is different, every environment is different, every profile is different, Many a time, if they've not put that in their profile or not highlighted in the profile or not really thought of putting it in the profile, but they've actually worked on it. I'm not talking about fudging a profile because that doesn't help anyone, Ask them to create the right profile for your profile and, your JD or your position, ensure that it's a cleanly created profile, and first thing that hits a hiring manager or a tech panel is the face of the profile. If they start getting negative from the face of it, how would they actually start a positive interview or really lead to a positive discussion after that,
Yeah.
And that is where the heart burns, because recruiter feels, oh, I've already spoken to the candidate. He was so confident, But when the profile did not cover it up, enough, and it got rejected, you cannot go back and defend again because it's a lost opportunity for you.
Absolutely. And
If you have created, and see, first thing is whether you have found the right candidate and have you got the recruiter's hunch or not. If you have got it, get it projected correctly in the profile, so that it starts with a positive note with the hiring manager. Many a time I'll say that helps you to get more selections with lesser profile. That also reduces your time wasted on either getting a right profile being rejected or actually getting a wrong profile for the interview. And hiring manager would love you more if you put lesser profile and give them better selections.
Yeah, absolutely agree on that. But then there are also some hiring managers who will say, I like this guy, but I think I need to see more. They just want to see more and more resumes to be to kind of hire the best talent, and we keep telling them that there is nothing called the best or the perfect candidate for you. So please understand the time is also critical here.
It should not look like a matrimonial match, right? I want to see more options, right?
There are a lot of stakeholders. Let's see a few more.
No, I'll tell you the main criteria for a role to be filled or a candidate to be selected has to be only one sentence, whether they can do the job or not,
Yeah.
If they can do the job, please put it on the paper in the feedback. If they cannot do the job, then also put it on the paper. We actually feel scared to go to our business and ask them why this person may not fit into this role or why this person fits into this role, and take a detailed feedback and then question and challenge it back, I'm sure you will always have somebody who's in a hurry to close that role, and take all those feedback and profiles to them. Tell them, I've done these many interviews. This is my weekly dashboard that captures all the effort from you and mine. Let's close. Let's bring it to a closure, See, everybody wants to close a role as soon as possible. Maybe they don't have enough data points to take a decision. And that is where the recruiter should take a call, and create a bigger role for themselves, for the business.
Yeah. And I've also seen that sometimes even the hiring managers at times are not able to, figure out whether, this is what is required or that is what. So they just start the interview process. And after a few interviews, they'll say that I think this is not what we want. So we have to tweak, and that is business dynamism. We need to actually around that. So I'll just take one last question because I think we are almost there on time. That for your high offer to joining ratio, there is a question that what practice did you follow? So I think you did answer that, but for the interest of the larger audience, once again, because that's something.
So I'll say a very, very good screening at your end, first of all, so that you're not hunting the wrong candidate for the right role, Secondly, creating a very, very good personalized rapport, relationship and connection with the candidate. Do respond to them, And you're a personal brand, first of all, and then your employer's brand, You're the ambassador for the brand, of the company that you work for. So that is what makes all the difference, They have been spoken by so many recruiters, but if you create a different pitch, a very warm, nice, positive pitch, and I'll give you an example. Every day we get calls from people selling us credit cards, insurance solution, property solutions, There are some who do a rubbish or a very shabby job, right? And you just bang down the phone or put down the phone and you feel bad. Why did they call me? There are some of them who do such a fantastic job. I feel bad saying no to them because I feel that pain for their hard work, their professionalism, it goes same for a candidate, So create the differentiated pitch, experience, and finally win them with your care, concern, and experience is what I'll tell in a nutshell,
Yeah, perfect. So I think that with that we call it a wrap, because there are a lot of questions still which we will try to, probably text them and help them with the answers. Now, I'll just move on to the. 1 second. So thank you so much, Ramit. We can't thank you enough for the time that you have taken today. I know how busy your schedule is, but this is a very interesting session, and I really look forward to if we can have a few more sessions because there are a lot of actually questions that have piled up, and I have a lot of questions that are coming to me. So this has been a very interesting interactions since we are from the same, talent acquisition background.
I loved it thoroughly. I love being a recruiter. For me, it's a good karma. It's a good karma that I do for my own company as well as for my own candidate, because I help them make a better bread and butter, and a better career while I add a better talent to my own company. So I think it's a good job. Enjoy it. It's not a laborious job. It's not a stressful job, provided you enjoy it and do it well. It's a smart job. Think well, plan well, and that's how you enjoy this journey. I've been enjoying it for the last 21, 22 years now. So I think this is the best job in the market, in the whole industry. And that's the way I just keep winning, and keep trying and winning. That's all, and keep learning.
Absolutely. And I think this is the most dynamic part of the HR jobs as such. And because we deal with people every day, and as you said, every day there's a different candidate, different experience. So it is very interesting. It does not get monotonous, at least for me. Even I am very passionate about knowing more about the candidate and things like that. So deep diving is very important in this job. And this session has been very, very insightful, Ramit. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. And I really look forward to if we get an opportunity to have more discussions with you like this.
Same here, Priya, and absolutely love being here. Thank you, everyone, guys. Be your best. All the best to you.